What's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and today we're going to be taking a look at some basic benches. Okay, so here with me I have the Rep FB-3000 and I have the Rogue flat utility bench. I haven't done a review on either of these like individually, so I thought it would be best to just kind of group them into one review and just compare them and tell you which one I think is better, just because they're a flat bench. There's not that much going on with them. And I mean, when it comes down to it, they're pretty similar as far as like the dimensions and everything goes. But I do have a preference for one over the other one. So the Rogue does have a slightly longer footprint than the Rep does. And it's just kind of due to the design. The legs of the Rogue slope outwards instead of like the bolt together design of the Rep. You do have to put the Rep together, which is not that big of a deal. It's pretty simple to do, but the Rogue does come fully assembled. You can get a bolt together design Rogue as well, but it does cost more. And that is shipped, so I probably would avoid that anyways. So the Rogue's footprint, 47.5 inches long, and then the width is just about 14 inches. The Rep's footprint is 40 inches and the width is just about 16 inches. The height obviously on the Rogue is a little bit taller. So let's check that out here. The Rogue's height, 17.5 inches. The Rep's height, about 17 inches. Not a huge difference as far as the height goes. I personally like the height of the Rep better just because I don't have that long of legs. Not that the Rogue has ever bothered me. Just I prefer the slightly lower bench with the Rep. The pad dimensions are actually identical. When you look at them, it looks like the Rogue is a bigger bench, but the pad dimensions are the same exact thing. So we've got a 47-inch long pad both ways, and then they're both 12 inches wide. Like I said, for some reason the Rogue it looks like it's bigger in dimensions, but it's not. And then the pad depth is about 2.5 inches. One thing that I do prefer with the Rogue over the Rep is the actual pad density. The Rogue's pad density is denser than the Rep's. It's a much firmer bench, and I personally prefer that. The Rep does have an advantage in its grippy pad covering, but one thing that I also don't like about the Rep bench is that you can like bend it. Like I could probably, if I tried, I could rip that off and it would break pretty easily. The Rogue, you try to do that with the Rogue and it's not going anywhere. So whatever backing they're using for the Rogue is just a much stronger piece of wood than on the Rep. I don't think that's gonna really affect that many people, but from a quality standpoint, I feel like the Rogue is much better than the Rep in that aspect. Now, when it comes to the pad covering, I do think that the Rep's grippy pad is better than the Rogue's just kind of like polyurethane covering that, you know, isn't super nice and it can actually rip pretty easily. Like the corners do split pretty easily. I've had this bench for probably about 6 or 7 years and it's seen better days. There's some scratches here and there, there's some little tears here and there. But I mean, if anything were to go wrong with the bench, I would just buy like the Thompson fat pad or the competition fat pad, which you can also do with the Rep as well. You know, if the Rep pad went bad on you, then you can get their competition fat pad, which is actually cheaper, much cheaper than if you were to buy like the competition fat pad from Rogue. So when it comes to stability, I think they're pretty similar, even though the Rep does weigh a little bit more than the Rogue. When you're actually benching, you don't really notice it all that much. The Rogue nowadays does come with rubber feet. When I got it, it came with these plastic caps, and I think that it would be much better nowadays with the rubber feet because there is a slight wobble to my bench. So if I step on one of the corners, I can make it wobble. If I do that with the Rep, I can make it wobble, but it's just to a lesser degree. Personally, when benching with the Rogue, I've never had any kind of like adverse training effects because of that wobble when I'm doing my bench press, but I don't bench all that heavy in the first place. My max bench is like 300 pounds, so it's never really affected me, though I would give the stability between my two benches to the repfitness. I think if I were to get the feet for the Rogue, it would make quite a bit of a difference, and then I would prefer the Rogue, but otherwise, as of right now, I would give the edge to the repfitness bench. But when it comes to build quality, I do prefer the welded together design of the Rogue, and then it uses that 2x3 11 gauge steel. So this thing is a tank. It feels really well made, whereas the Rep, it's not, you know, it's not bad, but it doesn't feel like a Rogue product. Like the Rogues have just a special feel about them. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the build quality of the repfitness though. I do like that it does come in colors. I got personally the red one. It's like 10 bucks more if you want to get a color to yours. Like I said, I don't necessarily care for the pad. It's a little flimsy to me, and then the density, it's just a little soft for me personally. I'd rather have the Rogue's density. So I would give the overall build quality definitely to the Rogue, even though mine has a slight wobble to it. I think if you were to buy one nowadays with the feet, that wouldn't be an issue. So when it comes to value, the Rogue comes in at $180 pre-shipping and tax, and the Rep comes in at $120 pre-shipping tax. So if you look at that, there's a pretty good amount of savings going with the repfitness option. But when you add in shipping for the repfitness, it becomes $170. Shipping to California is $52 on the Rep bench now. When I bought this, it didn't cost that much. When I bought this bench to California was like $130, which is an insane value. Really good price for this bench. $170, not so much. For the Rogue, it retails at $180. And then when you add in shipping and tax, it becomes $230 to California. So there's about a $50 difference between the Rogue and the repfitness bench. The Rogue is made in America. The components of the Rogue are much nicer and feel more well built. And you get Rogue resale value. Like I could probably turn around right now and flip this thing for like $170. And pretty much almost get all of my money back. And that's one thing that you've got to factor in when you're buying Rogue products. You could get insane resale back for them. The repfitness, you could probably get some pretty good amount of money back for the repfitness, especially right now, but you know, it's not going to be like the Rogue. So for that $50, I'd personally go with the Rogue. That little wobble, even on my bench, even though it's old and everything, doesn't really bother me. It's totally stable. The pad density is much nicer than on the repfitness. I don't really slip around that much on the Rogue, but I do prefer the pad covering on the repfitness. But overall, I think the Rogue is just, it's a much better product than the repfitness bench is. Not to say that the Rep is bad, but I think the Rogue is just a better product. And then for the $50 more, I think it's probably worth spending that extra little bit of money on the Rogue bench. But if you don't care, you don't bench all that heavy, and you maybe wanted a color or something, and you wanted something, or you had other repfitness products, then I think, you know, save your 50 bucks, go with the repfitness bench. It's still a pretty good bench. Though my personal choice between the two would be to go with the Rogue, especially since nowadays it comes with the rubber feet, which should help out with the stability and leveling it out. Either way you go, you can't go wrong. Both of these benches are excellent, and I think for the people that are looking into a standard flat bench, they're both gonna be more bench than you'll ever need. So if you guys have any questions about either the Rep FB-3000 or the Rogue flat utility bench, then leave them in the comment section. And as always guys, please hit that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.